It's 7 o'clock on a Monday morning. The alarm never rings because your robot has already opened the curtains at sunrise. Breakfast is waiting on the table. The dishes from last night's dinner have been washed and put away. Your laundry has been folded. The living room has been cleaned. Before you even check your phone, your elderly parents have already received their morning medication, your children have been helped with their homework, and your groceries have arrived at the front door. It sounds like science fiction, but according to Elon Musk, this could become one of the biggest technological shifts in human history. In fact, Musk has repeatedly suggested that Tesla Optimus may eventually become more important than Tesla's electric cars. That's an extraordinary statement considering Tesla revolutionized the automotive industry. But Elon isn't simply building another robot. He believes he's building a machine that could redefine the global economy. The question isn't whether robots will become more capable. The real question is what happens when every family can actually afford one. For thousands of years, civilization has been built around one unavoidable limitation. Human labor is scarce. Every product we buy, every meal we eat, every building we enter, and every service we use depends on someone else's time. A house exists because thousands of workers designed it, transported the materials, laid the foundation, installed the wiring, and completed the construction. A loaf of bread reaches your kitchen because farmers, truck drivers, factory workers, warehouse employees, and supermarket staff all contributed their labor. Everything around us has an invisible price attached to human effort. Economists often talk about supply and demand, but beneath every economy lies something even more fundamental: the availability of people willing and able to work. Now imagine that labor itself suddenly becomes abundant. Imagine a world where every household owns a general-purpose humanoid robot capable of cooking, cleaning, carrying groceries, mowing the lawn, washing clothes, assembling furniture, helping elderly relatives, and performing dozens of everyday tasks without complaint. Unlike today's robotic vacuum cleaners or smart speakers, this machine isn't designed for one specific function. It's designed to learn almost anything a human can demonstrate. Suddenly, the way we think about work begins to change. Throughout history, every major technological revolution has replaced specific tools. Horses were replaced by cars. Candles gave way to electricity. Paper maps disappeared inside smartphones. But what Elon Musk is proposing is fundamentally different. Tesla Optimus isn't designed to replace one tool, it's designed to replace the person using the tool. That's why many experts believe humanoid robotics could become one of the most significant inventions since the Industrial Revolution. Instead of building a better washing machine or a faster lawnmower, companies are trying to build something capable of using every machine humans already own. Because our homes, factories, hospitals, and offices were built for people, a robot with 2 arms, 2 legs, and human-like hands can potentially operate in those environments without redesigning everything from scratch. This idea sounds futuristic, but the foundations already exist. Artificial intelligence has become remarkably good at understanding language, recognizing objects, and making decisions. At the same time, robotics has advanced rapidly, with machines capable of balancing, walking, grasping fragile objects, and learning through demonstration rather than rigid programming. Tesla believes that by combining advanced AI with humanoid hardware, robots will eventually move beyond factories and into everyday life. Whether that happens in 10 years or 20 remains uncertain, but the direction of travel is becoming increasingly clear. The first impact probably won't happen inside your home. It will happen inside businesses. Imagine a warehouse where robots unload trucks throughout the night without needing breaks. Imagine factories operating 24 hours a day with only a handful of human supervisors. Construction sites where robots carry heavy materials, reducing workplace injuries. Hospitals where machines transport supplies, sanitize equipment, and assist nurses with physically demanding tasks. Many industries around the world are already struggling with labor shortages caused by aging populations and declining birth rates. In countries like Japan, South Korea, Germany, and Italy, there simply aren't enough young workers entering the workforce to replace those retiring. Humanoid robots could become less about replacing existing workers and more about filling jobs that nobody is available to do. Eventually, however, the technology reaches ordinary households. At first, robots are expensive, purchased mainly by wealthy families and businesses. But history suggests that technology almost always becomes cheaper over time. Flat-screen televisions, smartphones, personal computers, and even electric vehicles followed the same pattern. Early adopters paid premium prices, but mass production gradually reduced costs. Elon Musk has repeatedly emphasized that Tesla's greatest strength isn't simply inventing products, it's manufacturing them at scale. If Tesla applies the same production philosophy to Optimus that it applied to electric vehicles, the price of humanoid robots could eventually fall far enough to become accessible to millions of families. Now imagine the consequences. Parents regain hours every week that were once spent cleaning, cooking, or completing household chores. Elderly people remain independent longer because physical assistance is always available. People with disabilities gain new levels of mobility and support. Small businesses hire robotic workers that operate around the clock. Household productivity increases in ways previous generations could barely imagine. Suddenly, time itself becomes the most valuable thing robots create. Instead of spending weekends catching up on chores, families spend more time together. People pursue hobbies, education, or entrepreneurship. The quality of life improves not because humans work harder, but because they no longer need to perform every repetitive task themselves. But every technological revolution comes with unintended consequences. If robots perform more physical work, what happens to millions of people whose livelihoods depend on that work today? History tells us that automation rarely destroys all employment, but it almost always transforms it. The difference this time is scale. A general-purpose humanoid robot isn't limited to one industry. It can potentially work in manufacturing, logistics, retail, hospitality, healthcare, agriculture, and even private homes. That raises one of the biggest economic questions of the 21st century. If machines become capable of performing most forms of routine labor, what new opportunities will emerge for humans? That question has no easy answer, and even the people building these technologies disagree about what the future will look like. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of Elon Musk's vision isn't the robot itself, it's what the robot represents. For thousands of years, wealth has been closely tied to access to human labor. Kings employed servants, companies hired workers, families divided household responsibilities among themselves. But if every family eventually owns a capable humanoid robot, access to labor becomes almost universal, and when something that was once scarce becomes abundant, societies don't simply become more efficient, they begin to reorganize around entirely new possibilities. If the idea of every family owning a robot sounds exciting, it should also raise an uncomfortable question. What happens when the machine helping you with dinner today becomes smarter than you expected tomorrow? History shows that every transformative technology has arrived with enormous benefits and equally significant challenges. The internet connected billions of people, but also created misinformation, cybercrime, and digital addiction. Smartphones place the world's knowledge into our pockets while quietly changing how we communicate, work, and even think. Humanoid robots could follow the same pattern. They may become one of humanity's greatest achievements, but they will also force society to answer questions we've never faced before. Imagine a child growing up in a home where a robot prepares breakfast, cleans the house, helps with homework, and answers every question instantly. That child may develop skills that previous generations never needed, focusing more on creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence than routine tasks. But there is another possibility. If machines become responsible for most everyday responsibilities, do humans gradually lose the practical skills that once defined independence? Few people today know how to repair a television or navigate without GPS because technology quietly took over those responsibilities. If robots eventually cook every meal, fold every shirt, and fix every household problem, future generations may never learn how to do those things themselves. Convenience always comes with a trade-off. The workplace could experience an even greater transformation. For centuries, productivity has been limited by the number of available workers. Businesses expanded by hiring more people, opening more offices, and increasing operating costs. Humanoid robots change that equation. A small construction company could complete projects with half the workforce. A warehouse could operate 24 hours a day without overnight shifts. Restaurants might use robots for repetitive kitchen tasks, while human chefs focus on creativity and customer experience. Hospitals could deploy robotic assistants to transport equipment, sanitize rooms, and reduce the physical burden placed on nurses. The result isn't simply lower costs. It's an entirely different economic model where labor becomes increasingly automated, while humans concentrate on supervision, decision-making, and innovation. This is one reason Elon Musk believes Optimus could eventually become more valuable than Tesla's vehicles. The global automobile market is enormous, but it has natural limits. Most families own 1 or 2 cars. Businesses purchase fleets, but only when they need transportation. A general-purpose humanoid robot is different. Every home could potentially want one. Every hospital, every hotel, every warehouse, every factory, every retail store, every farm, every airport. The market isn't measured in millions of vehicles. It's potentially measured in billions of workers. If that vision becomes reality, Optimus wouldn't simply become another successful product. It could become one of the largest manufacturing opportunities in human history. But none of this happens without overcoming enormous technical challenges. Today's humanoid robots remain expensive, relatively slow, and far less adaptable than humans. Walking through a cluttered living room, recognizing dozens of different household objects, safely helping an elderly person stand up, or preparing breakfast without making mistakes are incredibly difficult engineering problems. Human beings perform these actions effortlessly because our brains evolved over millions of years to interact with unpredictable environments. Teaching machines to achieve the same level of flexibility is one of the hardest challenges in artificial intelligence and robotics. Progress is real, but it's also easy to underestimate how much work remains. There are also questions that have nothing to do with engineering. If robots become affordable, who owns the data they collect inside our homes? Should a household robot continuously record its surroundings to improve its performance? Could that information be accessed by companies, hackers, or governments? How do we prevent robots from being used for criminal purposes? Who becomes legally responsible if an autonomous machine accidentally injures someone? Every technological breakthrough creates new laws, new regulations, and new ethical debates. Humanoid robots will be no different. In many ways, society is only beginning to ask these questions. Yet despite these uncertainties, one pattern appears again and again throughout history. Humanity rarely rejects technologies that make life dramatically easier. Washing machines eliminated countless hours of manual labor. Refrigerators transformed food storage. Cars expanded personal freedom. Smartphones changed how billions of people communicate almost overnight. At first, every revolutionary invention seems unnecessary. Then it becomes useful. Eventually, it becomes indispensable. If humanoid robots reach that stage, future generations may look back at household chores the same way we now look back at washing clothes by hand or traveling across the country on horseback. What once seemed normal could eventually become unimaginable. Perhaps this is what Elon Musk is really building toward. Not a world where robots replace humanity, but a world where humans spend less of their lives performing repetitive labor and more time creating, learning, exploring, and solving problems that machines cannot. Whether that vision becomes reality depends on breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, robotics, manufacturing, and economics that are still unfolding. No one can say with certainty when, or even if, every family will own a robot. But history suggests that the technologies which reshape civilization usually begin as ideas that sound unrealistic. Electric cars were dismissed as impractical. Reusable rockets were considered impossible. Today, both are changing entire industries. Maybe the most important lesson isn't about robots at all. It's about the pattern of progress itself. Every generation believes the future will resemble the present, until one invention quietly changes everything. If affordable humanoid robots eventually become as common as refrigerators or smartphones, the greatest transformation won't be the machines themselves. It will be how they change the way humans spend the one resource that has always been impossible to manufacture: time. Because in the end, the most valuable thing a household robot may never cook, clean, or carry isn't a physical object. It's the thousands of hours it gives back to the people who own it. And perhaps that's why Elon Musk believes Optimus isn't just another product. He believes it's the beginning of an entirely new chapter in human civilization. If that future arrives, our children may one day ask a question that sounds almost impossible today. People used to spend hours every week cleaning their own homes, and just as we struggle to imagine life before electricity or the internet, they may struggle to imagine a world before intelligent machines quietly became part of every family. The real revolution won't happen the day the first robot enters a home. It will happen the day living without one begins to feel unimaginable.